My question is that during the hearing today on DCPS, one of the issues that came up dealt with truancy. And children can't learn if they're not in school. And if they're not in school and they're most susceptible to be doing something that is not productive and may be damaging to their lives and to their prospects for success. What kind of measures and what is your thinking how DCPS can get a handle on truancy, and what should be the role of parents and community in trying to help grapple with truancy? Mr. Brown, you can start.
Thank you, Mr. Branham. I was fortunately able to sit in on a roundtable with Chief Lanier and Council Chair Tommy Brown, along with other city leaders and educational leaders about 6 weeks ago on this very issue of truancy. And there's a couple of parts of it. It's a public safety issue. You know, you're talking about young people without supervision being able to roam around the city during the day. It's an educational breakdown issue where there's something about the school that they attend that's unattractive to them. They don't want to be a part of the process. Now, I believe part of that has to start with the home. And I think that we have to make sure that we're putting the kind of support in place and outreach in place to figure out what it is that's lacking where this child spends their time overnight, but they don't want to come in. Because we've also found that in many cases, there are parents around the city. They're making their older siblings stay home to watch the younger sibling while they run out and take care of errands. That's been a growing epidemic over the past maybe decade or so. And so we have to have some accountability in place for the parents. But I do believe we have to have outreach and support coming from the school level that starts to bring parents into an understanding of the lack of return on investment for not allowing your child to progress through the educational track, and even be able to point out even the economic impacts it will have. Because certainly in most cases, I'll tell you, being a parent myself, the pains you endured in your life, that's your sensitivity for what you don't, and you're trying to protect your child from experiencing. So we start to meet our parents in those areas. We say, listen, maybe there were some things that you were prohibited to participate in when you were coming up, but let's figure out a way not to do that to your child. And what are the barriers in your life that are causing that to be a strain for you? So these are some of the things I believe we have, the conversations we have to enlist the citizens of the district to come in. And I believe that it should be a requirement of children's parents who have a high level of truancy by way of the school records, and we look at how we reach out to those parents.
Yeah, in the mid-1980s, there was just a call machine that would call every parent to let people know that your son or daughter has been. That wasn't me. I wasn't teaching class. I would know about 7. If I had cut class, I would know about 7 p.m. that there would be the phone call that was going to get my house. So I would try to beat my parents if I had cut class. So I would try to beat my parents on their phone at 7 p.m. We really have gone away from that sort of idea, and I think the technology actually has outpaced us to a certain level of like just keeping parents in contact with that. There needs to be, every time that a child misses a class or is out, a parent needs to know. And so there's 3 different levels of this. There's the kid who has no support structure in the house, and they're out because they just don't want to go to school, and they have friends who aren't going to school, and there's no penalty at home for them not going to school. And at that level, you're dealing with something completely different. That's something where you need to like pull parents back into parenthood. That's the idea that's floated around for years, and some jurisdictions are actually doing it, where parents are court ordered to serve detention on weekends. Because it follows this one, but that's actually something where it's like if your child has missed 32 straight days, you know, there's an element of parenting that's not happening. But then on a simple level, there's going to be these things of like a constant contact of parents, so that if somebody, you know, Wilson High School wants to send out emails to every parent, not only like is your child like missed, but your child's been late. They also like you need to have an update for cell phones to let parents know that this is what's happening, so an auto call that will let them know. But also, I mean, you have to really recognize that in Washington, D.C., the worst thing we've done, and we talked about this earlier, it's people who don't have foundations in their households. Crews exist in this city is because they become legacies. Crews exist because parents will work crews, and then they pass it on to their children. So if you have no basis in the house, you have to bring parents unwilling to parent back into the field of reality to actually be a parent.
This is a challenging issue. I'm the candidate that will admit that as a kid I was short at least a time or two, not 12. So yeah, I have great parents. I had friends that maybe didn't have great parents. So there's a huge peer influence issue. I think the same apparatus that abstinence program providers are working with as far as peer education works just as well with peer education for truancy. I mean, we're going to need everyone on every level, including the children in the schools, to be working with their peers to say, look, school is where you want to be. We want to be here. We want to learn. We want to do the best we can. We want to have our school go as far as it can. And we can start looking at best practices around the country as far as things that are incentive programs, because I mean they have some programs that they actually pay kids to do who have perfect attendance, or they give a small monetary amount to kids who have a certain grade level. I think that's fairly extreme. I mean, if that's what we have to resort to, that could be looked into. But I think first of all we should try to build into students this intrinsic sense that there's a value to being in school every day. There's something that you can learn every day, because as long as they're there, they're going to be able to absorb some information. They're going to be able to learn something. Something's going to get through to them, and it's going to help them improve, and it's going to enrich their education. So there have been past efforts to penalize parents for when students are truant. That's one pursuit. Maybe another angle to try, instead of the stick, might be the carrot. So if you have a parent that is on public assistance, you know, if they have a student that's an honor roll student, maybe they should get some kind of bonus, some kind of increase in their monthly payments, because that shows that they're a good parent, and they're doing a good job, and they're being a good citizen, they're raising a good citizen, and they should see some type of benefit for that. Right now, the way we have the public system set up, there are all these penalties built into place to knock people down, but there's nothing built into the system to tell people, hey, here's a benefit. You doing the right thing. Your kid's out there doing the right thing. You've raised your kid right, or your kid's right. They're doing the right thing, and you should deserve the benefit. That's my time. Thank you.